You two are not in the podcast recording environment, are you?
No.
That's why I said, did you want to sort out food before?
It's fine.
I'm doing it now.
She's doing it now.
Because I'm the woman, so...
At least you know your gender roles. But we'll edit it out.
Get in there, you big furry! I don't care what you smell! Ah!
Hello everybody, and welcome to the inaugural Trash Compactor podcast. I'm your host, Rob Smart, and to my left here we have the man who is the law, Tristan Whitehead. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Tristan Whitehead. Apparently I'm the law. I am the law!
You can never see his face, that's the thing he does.
Only my chin.
His official police helmet comes right down to just below the nose.
What a chin though.
To the left of him we have our minor celebrity, the talent within the group. There he is over there, look at him.
How do?
Dressed in robes of gold. That's what
nice
he normally
hat.
goes around in. That would be Christian
It's my smoking
Wildgoose.
jacket.
It's his smoking jacket.
Yeah.
Christian Wildgoose, introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, I'm Chris Wildgoose.
Brilliant. Look at that. That was amazing. That was... No, that's fine, that's
It's
brilliant.
amazing.
Okay.
He's the one who's going places, and that's how he introduces himself.
It's brilliant. He's going to go everywhere in that
Is it only
film.
so far
no.
people introduce me? So,
Well, we've already had someone introduce you, and then he asked you to introduce yourself again.
yeah, but
Kind of
I'm
redundant.
too big
He's
for
not
that.
used to it. The Emperor with his fancy new clothes.
Those
Okay,
two clothes.
and directly opposite me, the man who's been talking over people already, which is
I'm
a
amazing.
brilliant start to the podcast, is the man whose house we currently are sat in, surrounded by
Co-host,
a
we
lot
could say.
Nice co-host. I think Chris is going to fight you for that one as well.
You're going to get a dig in the ribs. if
Well,
you want.
whatever. It's Oliver G. Thomas. Hello, Oliver.
Hello, I'm Oliver G. Thomas. I am the fool who thought this would be a really good idea.
Yes, he did think it would be a really good idea. So that's probably a good...
It's really not Chris.
It's probably a good segue into starting off talking about why the fuck we thought anyone on the internet would be remotely interested in anything we had to say. Ollie, what have you got to say for yourself about why we've decided to talk into your laptop here?
Because we couldn't afford a decent microphone, and it's the only way I know how.
Well, fine. That's all right with me.
And also we have opinions.
Yeah, that's the thing. But everyone has opinions, though, don't they?
We have arguments.
We have a lot of
Yeah.
arguments.
More than anything.
No, we argue
We're
about
not
Rob.
talking about...
Well, yeah, we argue about everyone argues with me. What you'll soon learn, listeners, is I'm generally right about everything. Chris is normally completely wrong.
What you'll
and
learn...
Tristan and Ollie sort of fall somewhere in between.
What you'll learn...
Whoa.
We're starting off with the truth, man.
And the truth's a lie. You can't handle the truth.
I think if
So-
any listeners out there should gather anything, it's probably the other way around.
It's probably the volume of Ollie. It's starting to...
I am the Brian Blessed.
Things you just know iPod wheels they don't have wheels anymore, do they? They've got rid of those old
That's all
classic
touchscreen.
fucking touchscreen iPods. Do you know, sod's
No,
law,
still
as soon
get
as
one with the wheel.
No, they stopped making it. When they announced iPod 6, they stopped iPod Classics, and then 2 days later, guess what fucking broke? Thanks, Ollie.
What, so you can't turn the volume up by rotating your finger in a circle like you're rubbing a nipple?
On the like rubbing a nipple. Well, exactly. That was part of the joy of the old iPod
It was.
Classic.
That's
It's like
it
the
was
thrill
smooth
of
and your finger around
sexual
in a circle.
excitement as
And then, you
and you
get
knew
louder.
volumes were rising
Yeah, your
as you
finger
did
going
it.
slowly.
I think
Right
Brian
out of the
is
way,
saying
turn
secretly
down.
Higginbottom here.
It was beautiful.
No,
it was
turn it
it was fully beautiful.
Two down. Two
Bring it
down.
down.
Back to 7.
That's what you did when you were playing a bit of Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
A little bit of the old volume.
Well, we could always ask Secretary Higginbottom's opinion on this.
Oh yeah, we should probably introduce the fact that someone else is here.
Secretary Higginbottom.
Miss Secretary Sally Higginbottom. I'm not calling her secretary. I'm not
I will
falling
call
into
her
that.
I'm
gender
already in my
stereotyping
suit.
trap.
I think you should say her name correctly first, Oliver.
Higglybottom.
I wish that was
Is she an old
name.
Victorian maid?
Come on, Sally, how do you say your name correctly?
Higginbotham.
Higginbotham.
I like the way
Why
I
is
say
it
it
spelled with an
better.
E?
What do you mean?
What's the etymology of your name? Where does it come from?
Where did it go?
God knows.
Where did
What was the
it go?
sign on the
Let's
light?
get back on track already. Jesus, how long have we been fucking talking about?
9
Nothing
minutes.
already.
10 minutes.
What was your
Welcome to
aim
a
for?
podcast, sir.
My
Well,
aim
exactly.
was to
Your aim for a running time was half an hour, and that's largely going to be
lies.
shit. So, in terms of why we thought it might be a good idea to
talk.
into Ollie's laptop here. The thing is that I think it's quite important actually to get across why we think it would be a good idea, because there's shitloads of people on the internet who do this,
Yes.
particularly on YouTube, the wretched hive of scum and villainy that it is.
Do it in a better
And-
voice, and I'll believe you.
I mean, do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
I do listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of.
I know you do, Chris.
I listen to a few podcasts. I listen to a few YouTube celebrities, if we're calling them.
Okay, well, so anyway, I think from my perspective anyway, most of the podcasts I listen to are from, professional people. So the podcasts tend to have a level of professionalism, maybe, an external microphone is used to actually record
I did
some
get
of the
one.
sound waves
In
that
a
go up.
studio.
In a studio of some kind, or perhaps there's some kind of person whose job it might be to do some kind of audio work on such a thing, or in fact maybe they might be paid to talk about the kind of thing that they're doing a podcast about. Maybe they're film or video games journalists,
have
but
aspirations.
we're not at all.
No?
We
Well,
we have.
I used to
nothing.
write for a website.
Oh yeah, so did I. But I don't know if we
Don't
could.
laugh.
So obviously, considering you don't know who we are, since we aren't,
We are
professionals about things, I thought it might be a good idea to just tell people who we are. Ollie, do you want to start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello?
Single white man.
Single white female.
Seeks
Single white female.
seeks multiple listeners
Yes.
to online podcasts.
Seeks fame through the only way he knows how. Like his own
Go on, who are you? Why should we care about what you've got to say?
My name is Oliver G. Thomas. I am a graduate of a certain university within Hertfordshire. I studied film. Hello.
What? Chris, who are you? We've already introduced you as our minor celebrity. What elevates you to the level of
Why should
robust
they
trolls as we bow at your feet?
Well, I draw comics as
Draws
for my
comics.
living.
Any
so
comics that we know?
Probably none that you'd know.
What?
None that.
Then why are you here?
You said he was famous.
Oh yeah, I'm in a fashion. No, I draw comics for a living.
Very good.
I think the biggest thing I've done so far is the True Grit official promo
Dragon
comic.
Porcelain's been pretty...
Well, Porcelain's got better. That's our creator and things, but that's probably got more accolades to it now. I
It's
guess.
international as well,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Porcelain
yeah,
has been
yeah.
done into... How many languages? Is it English and French at the moment?
Just English and French, and then it's going on to Spanish. And
It's more than my
German.
comic, what I drew in the back of my history book in year 11.
Still
I
valid.
thought it would go miles, but
Just to the bin.
just I think it's still in my mum's loft. Do your parents keep all your old
I
school
keep all
shit
my
for
stuff.
absolutely you keep all your stuff?
Yeah.
I know mine do.
What, keep
It's,
all your school stuff?
Yeah, it's,
I don't know what they
it's
ever
a waste
actually
of
plan to
space.
do with it. Parents like doing that though, don't
My
they?
parents did, but then when I last went home, they made me take it all back with me. But when I said I didn't want to keep it anymore, they were like, "You better
Just
not
burn
throw
it.
it out."
Just burn it in a big
Well, they
fire.
said no. Like I wanted to throw it out, but they wouldn't let me get rid of it. They were like, "I'll be really upset if you get rid of that."
Have you got any toys that you absolutely cherished, or that you knew were really, really expensive now, like they're worth quite a bit of money?
Yes.
That your parents
We-
have got rid of.
Me
No.
and my two older brothers, between the two older brothers, apparently they had pretty much most of the Star Wars range, like the original stuff. And my mum got rid of it apparently.
What were the action figures?
Yeah, and I think we had the Millennium Falcon and an
That's
AT-AT Walker,
devastating.
and she
The
got
big
rid of
ones.
it. Like it was one day when my dad took my brothers out apparently, and she was at home and just gave it away to this friends of the family.
Oh my
Everyone was
god.
mortified,
That's
yeah.
horrendous.
Yeah.
Oh, we had like there was a box that was like a deep fat fryer box, so it was quite a big box that was just filled to the brim with Lego that I think someone at my mum's work gave her, and it had like I could make anything out of this. Like I made a Millennium Falcon out of it. It was shit, but like I made a Millennium
Multicoloured.
Falcon, which was brilliant. Yeah, a proper Lego multicolored Millennium Falcon that had, instead of Han Solo, it had the woman who ran the ice cream parlour as and then, little
ice cream's in
little
the
Lego ghost as the Chewbacca and stuff like that. But
I think every
my mum's
kid-
totally got rid of that now.
Every kid in our
Devastating.
generation though had like mix boxes of
Oh
Lego.
god, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I never had
Tons of
sets. I
it.
just
Yeah.
had like hand-me-down Lego.
Yeah, I never
Did you
had
have
any
Playmobil?
sense.
Did you have
Yeah.
that?
No, I didn't have
Either two
Playmobil.
pirate ships. That was
Yeah.
good.
So, well, I mean, we've called ourselves the Trash Compactor Podcasts. We went through a number of different names,
Such as
such as
Super Fun Happy
the
Time.
Super Fun Happy Time,
Podcast.
Oliver's Magic Audio Hole.
That wasn't one.
I didn't hear that one. What's
No,
that
that was one Ollie sent me in a private message.
With a picture as well.
With a picture, it was graphic. Chat my bitch up. but we decided that might be a
Didn't
little
know.
bit controversial. And so we ended on the trash
Something we
compactor.
all love,
Why have we gone with the trash compactor, Ollie?
because we all love Star Wars.
Because we all love Star Wars. We thought it would be a nice thing to base it around, not necessarily because
That's
it's the
also-
greatest set or
We're
even
going
the
to ride
best scene
that
in it.
fame train as it goes up with the new Star Wars film.
Oh, very nice. that's a good idea. So anyway, I think that actually, another part of why we decided to call it that, we are going to be talking about all things.
We'll get the main thing out of the way.
Nerdy.
What do we talk about mostly?
We largely, within ourselves. Within ourselves? I thought we were getting quite
Within
philosophical
inner
there.
space.
Within ourselves. Within our group
Within
of friends,
ourselves.
we normally talk about films, games, board games, Warhammer, or at least you two do. Me and Chris zone out at that point. And then talk
Oh,
about
Chris
something
doesn't zone
interesting.
out, he just kind of glazes over.
That's basically the same thing. and
Bit of
really
D&D.
terrible
Oh, yeah,
films.
D&D.
Let's not forget the terrible
Yes,
films.
that is the reason why we exist.
Yes,
Very
so
excited.
that's why we decided to call it that. So I think our intro has probably been about 20 minutes long,
Yes.
about as long as most normal podcasts. So it's probably time that we move on to our first section. It's over there in the other corner of the trash compactor. Let's all gather over there near that shiny thing.
Well, on second thoughts, let's not go to Camelot. It is a silly place.
Right.
Oh wow, look, we found this gorgeous piece of rubbish in the corner. What is it, Ollie? It's our second section, otherwise known as
The round table!
the
which
round
is-
table. I'll be honest, I'm still a little bit unclear as to what the concept behind the round table
Round
is.
table is basically you arguing with us, because that's probably what will happen.
So I've got two words written down here, which just says next gen.
Well, the reason being is we are currently 1 year into the next generation. I believe it is the 6th generation.
Depends from when you're counting from, I guess.
From
Depends
Okay.
which point of view.
I think, isn't it? Don't EA like count just from the PlayStation era? I think
I don't know.
so. It'd be on the third.
I think we're counting from like the original Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. So this would be the 6th generation.
So seventh generation. Of the four of us here,
None of us
two
have
of
an
us
Xbox.
actually have. Two of us actually have. No, three of us actually
Three
have
of us.
next generation consoles. One of us is
Still
is,
rolling around in the dirt.
yeah, so in those muddy graphics. Go back and look at them now, you boys. They just look shit. How did we ever live with PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360?
Pretty well.
Okay,
it's
that's
still
fine.
quite good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
I'm
good.
still-
Don't have a problem with it
still
at all. I
playing
just
my
want to make him
360.
feel bad about not having a PS4.
It's right, we all left him in the dust.
You
It's fine.
couldn't possibly make me feel any worse than I already feel.
Why? I mean,
Dick.
well, I got mine fairly early on. I've had mine now for
Rob
about...
is possibly the elder of the clan PS4.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a PS4. I haven't got an Xbone because I was
No,
never
well,
big
there's
on
no point
Xbox
having
in the last
There's
generation.
no point having
I've
the
not
same
seen-
I'm not
console.
down on the Xbox One. Like I'm not like down putting on the Xbox.
No,
One.
they're the same
My
console.
brother has
essentially.
nothing but good stuff to say about it.
They-
and
they're-
I really want to.
yeah,
They
They
just
have
have two
nothing-
different boxes. They do exactly the same thing. They both can all play the
Well,
same
that's because
thing.
we're only a year into the generation. I reckon in a few years' time there'll be more features
Well, like
put in.
Xbox have been updating.
To
ever
be fair though,
since
your
they brought it
brother,
out.
like, I think he, from what, I mean, I only know him from stuff he put on Facebook, but he seemed a little bit, like, when you'd bought a PS4, his comments were, "Oh no, what have you done that
Yeah,
for?"
but my bro-
Because he strikes me as a little bit fanboyish.
No,
towards it.
no, he's
probably-
like my brother's more like the best tech. So, and he gets what's comfortable to him. Like he uses
Yeah,
the
fair
Oculus.
enough.
Oh, he had
I
a
would-
360 before.
Yeah, he had a 360.
Yeah,
Did he have a PlayStation 3 or not?
No, not a PlayStation.
See, because the thing is, I mean, last generation, you guys all had 360s.
Well, we had both, didn't we?
Well, yeah, but you
Primarily
I mean,
360.
I would say
Yeah, you
most
guys
of the
were all
time
on
I
360.
played 360, mostly because
Heck, I'll still
not
play it out.
not like being bad to the PlayStation 3. I mean, there are a lot of games on it. I have like PlayStation for me was the exclusive games like Valkyria Chronicles, Metal Gear 4 at the time, Little Big Planet games,
Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain was fantastic.
Uncharted.
Uncharted,
Last of
definitely
Us.
Uncharted. Last of Us, God of War. They were the games that I bought the console for. I mean, I bought the console for Metal Gear 4, which was fantastic, and I'm assuming everyone agrees with me.
Nah.
I love Metal Gear 4, but
Of
I do
course.
think it's
It
the
has
weakest
aged.
of the main series, I would say.
It's not
Just
as
because
good-
every time I think, oh, I really want to replay that game, all I think is, do I want to sit through 9 hours of cutscenes?
That is true. But getting back to my point, whereas I had the PlayStation for exclusives, 360 was what can I play with my friends, and all my friends at the time had a 360.
I'd see
And as I'm sure people
That's
will
the case
hear,
now with PlayStation 4.
At the moment,
if you
it
lot
seems-
didn't have PS4s, I would have just gone Xbox
Yeah,
One.
exactly.
Happily, because
Yeah.
they're the same.
Well,
they're almost the same console.
They have. I haven't got mine yet, but
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yes.
I think for me, the issue with the 360 was always. I mean, I got my PlayStation 3 free with like a phone contract,
Yeah.
and I got it largely because I knew that there were games on it that I wanted to play. I generally, up until then, always came quite late to console generations.
No,
So I had a PS1, like the little one, like the PS1 Lite thing.
The
Didn't
little-
have one of
the
the
little
big
box.
square boxes. And even my PS2 was a light one, a silver one. So getting a PS3, one of the big fat ones, I got it free, and I got it largely because I knew I'd always had PlayStations.
Fanboyish. Not
Well, no,
fanboyish in that way.
I had it
stick with
because
what you
they
know.
were the
Yeah,
ones
exactly.
that my mum bought me. I mean, I bought my own PlayStation 2 because it was the biggest console in the world, and
Still
you had
is.
to have a
It
PlayStation
still
2.
currently is rated the biggest selling console ever.
Is it? I thought the Nintendo DS had overtaken it.
It probably has, but the last time I checked, which was a week ago, it was still.
Is it? Are you constantly up on those numbers?
A week ago, as he looked up to the right, the creative part of his brain.
Don't make them think I have a brain. I don't.
Yeah, I think the thing is with the 360, if I think about it, the only thing I feel I missed out on by not having a 360 was being able to play online with you guys, because you guys would always play stuff like Battlefield and, and Gears and Halo and stuff like that. But to be honest,
Many a time to be told.
there is very, very little that I actually feel that I missed out on in playing. Like I've missed out on playing online with you guys.
Yes.
But in terms of exclusives, there's what? Gears, Halo.
It was Gears, Halo.
I'd
there
say
was
The only thing that ever really interested me was Alan
Just
Wake.
Yeah.
That's one
Oh,
thing that
that
I'm
was
sad
good.
that I couldn't
That-
play.
that is
Everything else
a
I'm
shame.
genuinely not bothered by. Whereas if I'd missed out on Heavy Rain, Uncharted, Last of Us, God of War, like those are some of Little Big Planet. They're some of my all-time favourite games. Uncharted 2 is pretty much my favourite game of all time, and with the exception of Metal Gear Solid. And I just don't think that if I had, because I would never have been able to afford both consoles. So having a PS3 for me, I never like playing online with random strangers anyway. So
That's fair enough.
getting into it this generation, I think, would be interesting because I've never really done it
But
before.
most of the best games are on both consoles.
Yeah, no, this is
Yeah, exactly.
the-
That was why it was
So
never
it
an
doesn't
issue.
really
Well,
make a
like,
difference.
I just want to say, like, my brother isn't an Xbox fanboy. Like, I think he'd be annoyed for being called a fanboy. 'Cause
It was.
he's not-
I don't
he's
know.
not-
The only thing I was going on by that was when you bought your PS4, he seemed quite upset at the fact that you bought PS4 rather than
Only
Xbox
'cause I'm,
One.
like,
Is that
he's
because he
one of
wanted
the
to play
people-
online with you?
Yeah, I guess so. And, like,
Did you play with him quite a lot on
yeah,
360?
a lot, like more than anyone.
Yeah,
And like
that's
now, I don't
the
play
point.
with anyone at the moment because.
Oh, you play with him?
you will!
But like other than Kid Hawk.
Kid Hawk?
Kid Hawk.
Nidhogg.
Yeah, Nidhogg.
That's the cheapo knockoff Kid
Stop
Hawk.
drinking, Chris.
yeah. No, other than that, you got rid of Destiny like super quick. And-
Destiny's super quick because it was fucking boring. After a
Well,
while. I mean,
yeah,
it was.
it's
Constant grinding, as
I
we've heard.
literally
It is-
played it today.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, because you're still. What actually do you find particularly
Gratifying.
great about it?
It's just a good game. It's
Do
like
you not find it
a
really
really slick
samey?
game. It is really samey, but it's like for me, I just jump onto games. And
Sometimes
things,
graphics can save a game.
but like it's not just graphics though. It's well, I'm going to mention
I
it
don't think
later on, but
graphically
it's
it's
my
actually that
favorite.
good.
Like it's possibly one of my most favourite shooters, just because it's like the best running shooter. I literally feel like a superhero running around, chucking a knife, knifing somebody else, and like blowing somebody away.
You got
with a
quite
gun and
quite
stuff.
highly leveled up pretty quickly. Like because when I started playing online with you, I was heavily into Dark Souls, so all my gaming time was with that. And then it would be, oh, do you want to play a bit of Destiny? So I'm like, brilliant. And then I'd be like level 2, and I'd come in with you level 15 with all your fucking super plasma headshot
But I didn't do that by
guns.
farming though. I just did that by like
By playing the game, which is fair. Does it interest you, Tris? Because you've just got a PS4. Do you actually want to get it? There's a lot of
I
hype
did
and
want to
stuff
get it,
like that.
but a lot of people have given me mixed reviews on it. The grinding comes to mind,
Yeah.
just with the random drops.
It is hard.
And putting in effort and loads of effort and then suddenly not getting anything back, or not that you want,
Yeah.
or being the top player and not getting the best rewards
Yeah.
seems a bit annoying.
Yeah.
Having to pay
yeah.
extra on top for all the extra downloadable
Oh,
content.
but that's the way.
See,
to
I-
do
Keeps
it.
it alive, it's great, but
Yeah.
for me at the moment, it doesn't
That's
seem...
DLC though, isn't it? Isn't that just normal
Just
DLC?
like,
I don't
you
think they're doing And they're not doing like microtransactions.
I mean,
or anything.
it's
that
it does
takes
interest me.
Unity,
money
which we'll
from
come
you.
on to later.
It does interest me, but I only want to play as a group. I don't want to play on my own.
Yeah, no,
I'd like to go around in four or whatever.
Yeah, I
go into
played.
planet.
Barely played it on my own, and I think the issue was that the something you mentioned earlier, cost of next generation games at the moment. You can basically afford one every 2 or 3
Oh
months.
yeah, it's horrible.
I mean, this month's quite difficult because I mean, on Tuesday just gone, or rather over the past couple of weeks, it's been
Cry 4.
Far Cry 4, Assassin's Creed,
Dragon Age.
Dragon
Dragon
Age,
Age,
and
oh,
GTA 5
The remake. Not
Remastered
remake.
Edition.
Yeah.
I mean, out of all of those, I would want to get GTA, even though I've played it.
See,
I like the remastered.
I
things.
would-
don't have a
I would get
problem
the
with
But I like
So
all
really
the new
want it.
features they put in it as well.
Yeah,
And-
first person.
It's all
mate.
about
Yeah,
First
but like,
person.
I still haven't finished GTA.
Have you not?
No.
So
I've
tell
got,
me-
I've got
people
to
didn't
my
like it.
point in the game, and it just hasn't picked. Like nothing's happened.
Did you finish
That's
GTA 4?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I left it for a really,
There's
really
always a
long
danger that
time.
can happen in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I think there's a really interesting statistic
I think Grand Theft Auto 4
with
was the only one I actually finished properly before, and obviously GTA 5. All the ones before that I've never finished.
there was a really interesting statistic with GTA 4. With it was something like 90% of people who actually bought that game actually finished all of the story, because it's something I found a little bit in Red Dead as well. I think it
love
is a
Red
little.
Dead.
I know you love Red Dead, and I love Red Dead as well, but I think it is a little bit of a problem with Rockstar open world games that they are fucking long, and there's a lot of content in there, and they build the world so well, and visually they're
Especially
incredible.
nowadays.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I do think that maybe a 20-hour, 16 to 20-hour,
Okay.
main story mission sort of thing. It takes you really that long to do it. Is maybe just a little bit too long. Like the middle of Mexico in Red Dead, I found it dragging a little bit.
Yeah, I
It
found that.
does drag a little bit, but it does pick
It's
up.
an incredible game, don't get me wrong, but I think that's an issue with a game that is that long. And yet, to be fair, something like Skyrim, I didn't really find that.
I found that.
Let's go.
I had a lull and I just stopped playing. it.
Go back to it.
Again,
I was not
still
dying
haven't finished
to
it.
start playing it again.
I tried the other day and went, oh no.
I tell you what, if they did a fucking remastered version of Skyrim,
I would
I
get
would
that.
just
Oh, yeah.
give them all my money, because
yeah.
that would be...
Did you see that?
And I had it on PS3 as well, so the load times and the bugs were shit.
There's that Kotaku review, and they said like Skyrim. What was it?
Oh, Skyrim
Few
now,
years
like
on,
how it is now.
Oh, the mods on the PC version.
Yeah. And
Some
how
of the
it
mods
looks.
make it look incredible, like the graphical mods and stuff. Not just that, because they...
You missed the motivator.
I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was probably Games Radar UK, which is the podcast that I listen to most. But I remember Andy Kelly on there saying that back when he did a series where he set up a character called Olaf, and it was a YouTube series that he did where he just played as Olaf, who was just designed to be just a normal citizen in the world. So he could only sort of build his way up from nothing. He just started wearing nothing. He would like chop wood, and then he would kind of like build a house, and he would get married and all this kind of stuff. And he was trying to lead a normal life within Skyrim. It's a really interesting little YouTube series. But he said that if you download the modding kits and stuff like that, it's very... All you got to do is maybe watch a couple of YouTube tutorials or read the instructions. It maybe takes you about an hour or two, and then actually it's pretty much Little Big Planet level, like cutting and pasting, sort of moving stuff in, and people have built really, really excellent, basically whole DLC packs. There was one, he was talking about one called, it's got a stupid like wizardy name, like
Hogwarts.
Bridge to Elsewhere or something like that. But it's the whole, he's built this whole other sort of land where the cat people come from. And it's like a whole DLC thing, like there's missions in there and stuff, and it's a whole big thing. Like, I mean, I've never really played games on PC. Have you ever played
No,
games on PC?
Yeah, I
Back in the
usually
day.
stick to real-time strategies on PC. A couple of first-person shooters, but
See, I can't go
I,
on it.
usually,
I know people say
I
like
played
FPS
XCOM on
or
it
something.
recently. That was brilliant on PC.
Yeah,
See, I think XCOM
XCOM.
on
PC.
I think XCOM works beautifully on a console.
It does
I think
as well.
that's what's genius
But
about it.
I enjoy
It's a little
the
bit
extra.
PlayStation 1 XCOM. Do you know what I mean? Like, did you
Yeah.
ever play Command and Conquer on PS1? Worked really surprisingly well, and I think XCOM kind of does that. I've literally only played it for about an hour or so, but I really, really like that. But yeah, I mean, everyone, like people nowadays, particularly PC, seems to be the big thing. Is you have to get this massive rig and all this kind
It's
of
the
stuff.
godly race compared to us, the immortals.
Yeah, that's what
It
some
is.
dickheads like to say.
But,
Not us.
I bought The Witcher 2 on the Steam sale, and
Fantastic
I
game.
plugged it in. I started playing it, and the graphics are fantastic. I was like, wow. compared to 360, it's brilliant. But I couldn't get on with the controls.
No, I can't
Just on the
do
off
it.
chance, I plugged my 360 controller in.
Yeah.
Plug and play.
Is
My
it?
mind was blown.
That does sound.
Yes!
Do you know what? I think that's one of the things that does put me off it. The fact that how the fuck you like if you imagine a console controller had 80 fucking buttons on it, you would not know
You'd be
how to
playing
do
Steel
it.
Legion.
And that is exactly what you Steel Battalion. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the stupid. Yeah, apparently it was pretty shit. But like that's basically what playing a game with a keyboard is. Surely you've got all these buttons everywhere, all of which would do different things. You'd have to have your hands in constant bloody claw positions,
That's why I can't play
suppose
MMOs.
which I can't deal with.
But like, it's just a comfort thing, probably, isn't it?
I don't-
Because I used to go to a cafe, like an internet cafe, and play Counter Strike.
Oh yeah.
Like a horrendous amount when I was like 14.
Go
or
to an
13.
internet cafe, do
Yeah, because that was like before
Pre-internet
before,
days.
like
Pre-home internet.
consoles
Dial-up.
online and stuff. Yeah.
I used to go. To be fair, I used to go across the road to
Yeah,
my
but
friend's
times.
house and play Counter Strike. But he played Counter Strike. I actually watched him play Counter
I
Strike.
used to pay.
Used to pay to play it.
Yeah,
You
so,
gotta
yeah, I used
pay
to
if
do
you
that.
wanna play.
And yeah, I used to find just like comfortable ways of playing, even though your like hands are like.
Do you know where
Well, you
the
either
buttons are?
It's
it's
Like,
PC
I
games.
mean,
You either play
yeah, but you
hands
get-
on one
you-
side.
it's all
Learning
thumbs,
it,
really.
yeah.
It's all. I mean, with the great thing about a console controller is effectively it's all thumbs,
Yeah.
with the exception of triggers,
Mm.
which they're a brilliant. They're a brilliant design. Having triggers, but. Do you? Because you've got L1 and L2 and R1 and R2.
Yeah.
Do you guys put two fingers?
No.
So
No.
one
Well,
finger on there,
it
one finger on there,
depends.
or do you
Sometimes.
just have one finger? Because I just use my index finger and I go between them,
I think I.
and I always wonder, should I be
yeah,
doing it like
that.
that?
Well, on the new PlayStation 4 controllers, I think I've started using all four.
Yeah.
Especially on the Call of Duty, you've got the left for aim and the right for shooting. You want the grenades. Or your,
Yeah, they
or
kind
your
of like the
exo
contour of it, so your fingers kind of
cool
fit
as hell,
in it quite
yeah.
nicely.
Whatever
With,
they are.
with Destiny, I do like it because there's, I think it's right shoulder button for throwing your knife and
Yeah.
firing your gun, and like I tend to, I think it was today. I think I was moving around whilst reviving somebody while shooting somebody. I was amazed that I managed to do it, but I was it didn't like my hand wasn't all like
To be honest,
crippled afterwards or anything.
The best way to do it is to look at how malformed your hands are. If they're in the shape of the controller, then you know that's how you've been playing it. For example, obviously I use
I
both
get
fingers.
quite self-conscious about it because I feel like I'm always doing it wrong. Like I wonder if anyone else does that. It's just
I think it
literally-
depends on the game. In a shooter, if all buttons are being used, both fingers. If,
I can't do
if
it. I
it's like
can't
an
get my
adventure
middle
game where
fingers
you
to
have to
actually bloody
you
do
can,
it.
like, crouch and all that, just your index fingers.
Do you know, going back to Destiny, and I know I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but there were elements of it that were really good. But one thing I would say in its favour is that out of the three of us who have a PlayStation 4, I've got a. It's all right, Ollie. Don't worry. You'll join us soon.
When Bloodborne comes out, I will join you.
When you get some money,
You're going to be
you'll
ashamed
all
when I get an Xbox One before you've got a PS4 alongside my PS4.
Yeah, while Chris is enjoying all his flailing around Connect games, you'll still be there with your old 360. How many 360s are you on now? Because that's another issue.
This is my third 360.
See, you go on about this, but
How many have you had?
2, and the second one I bought out of choice.
Joseph?
I'm not even going to say it's been discussed.
I have.
Whereas I'm on the first one that
I'm
I
on my
got.
fourth 360.
Fuck off. Four
Yeah.
360s.
The
Are
first-
they all red rings?
The first one broke.
3 red rings.
The second one.
2 red rings. Because I've only got 3.
Oh, thanks for ruining the story. Ollie.
Sorry.
The second one also broke. It stopped reading discs, and then I upgraded to the newer one. You know, with the touch.
Oh, the black one.
Yeah.
The one that looks like a PS3.
Yeah.
I always think they did. I know it sounds a little bit
Some
fanboyish,
people
but I
just
kind
wanted
of felt like
It's
they
just a-
took the design of it a bit.
I
I
think
think
it's
it's just
Okay,
a-
well, I'm on my fourth PS2. They broke like you wouldn't believe on me.
Fat PS2s, did you?
Yeah, the original.
Oh, yeah, no, the same with me. My original.
Yeah, they. I mean, that's interesting.
I seem to have a curse. I go through consoles like
You wouldn't believe.
I
confetti.
don't think I've ever had a console break on me
See,
ever.
but I use my 360 like nobody's business. Like, I
Yeah.
used to play Halo on it hardcore and play Gears of War on it hardcore. Like
Yeah.
every night at university, I was pretty much on Gears of War.
Yeah.
And to the point where I like wrecked the disc because I was just playing it so much. But I'd never worn out my Xbox.
Have
See,
you ever-
I think you're in the minority with that. Like with,
Yeah,
with the
it's lucky.
PS3.
No, I know.
I know the PS3 has the
It's
yellow
actually-
light thing, but I literally use my PS3 for everything because it's got like I plug my external hard drive into it, so I watch movies and TV shows, and I've always had the Play TV. It means that every single time I'm watching TV or watching anything or playing anything, it's always been the PS3. I dread to think how many hours that thing has been on, and like sometimes it'll be on, and it doesn't really have a power off switch. Like it's got the thing at the
I
back.
hate the power off switch. Even on the PS4, I can't turn that fucking thing off.
It is a pain in the ass, isn't it? Because you have to, because if you hold the PS button in the middle, then you can actually select turn it off. Whereas if you press the button on the front,
it just beeps at me.
it beeps,
And
and
then
then
it
you got to
turns a
hold it
different
for
colour.
about. It feels like an age to keep your
Yeah,
finger on that
it's really
fucking
sad.
button before it then beeps again. And actually
I didn't even know it
turns
had
itself off.
buttons on the front. I really had to squint up and see. I couldn't even find the disc tray.
Yeah.
I really
is that?
like
Oh, it's a
the
squishy
design
bit
of the
there.
PS4. I mean, obviously it comes down to the
It goes to
games
orange and white as well.
with the next generation. And for me, because I've had my PS4 for a while, I've played a lot of games just because I was desperate to actually play some fucking games on it, because there really hasn't been a lot.
There's a lot of
But
indie games
now,
that are
actually,
fantastic.
it's really good. For me, I would say the best things I've played on it are Metal Gear, Ground Zeroes, and Shadow of Mordor, which is fucking awesome. Like, so much fun.
Want it.
Honestly, I cannot recommend that game
No
enough.
demos.
It's
I think you played
Batman,
them pretty
Assassin's
good.
Creed with Lord of the Rings, and I absolutely love Lord of the Rings. And it just works so well. It's so satisfying killing the orcs, and the way the Nemesis system works. It sounds stupid, but it honestly really is.
It's truly next gen.
Because what's brilliantly satisfying about it as well is the Nemesis system means that you are up against orcs who are like, you know, who you've killed before, or they've run away and then they've come back and they've become stronger, and it's all kind of got involved
the
in.
dark arts.
Yeah, that, like they literally are your nemesis. I think that's why they probably called that system that, and it works brilliantly. And like one of the best things, there was an orc who I had killed. I mean, it is a little bit weird. Like I chop his head off and he keeps coming back. It's really, I don't quite know why, but it is brilliant when you see him again. And it's like Ragnarok the Bold or something like that. Like they've all got really weird names, and because they're the captains, and it zooms in, and the guy, the kind of commentator, famously, there's one orc called Douche, so it zooms in and just goes Douche, really dramatic voice. But then they say something like quite personal towards you, like,
I've come to get you, Ranger.
yeah, and it's like one of the best things. Where I killed this guy 4 or 5 times, and he kept coming back, and he kept working his way up the ranks, and he would kill me and stuff. And it was in one of the final battles where there's a lot of captains on the other side, and then from across the battlefield you just hear Ranger, and it zooms in on this guy, and his face is really properly fucked up because I've burned him. I've dropped I've had caragors attacking him, which are these like big kind of lion type creatures. I've dropped like these horrible bee things on his face. I've chopped his head off 8 or 12 times. So he's kind of like his face is sewn up and it's got sores all over it, and half of it's completely disfigured. And you're like, oh, this is the best game, because it's seeing him again like in that final moment. It's genius, and like the combat of it is
Batman.
is Batman. It is Batman, but it works so well, and you can level it up so well.
You don't mind
I
if they stop with it.
really love that game. Really love that game. That's the best thing that I've played. Absolutely, there's a lot of good stuff that I'm looking forward to.
Despite not owning a PS4, I have played a few things on PS4, and I have to say the best thing I have played on PS4 isn't even a proper game. It's a little demo.
PT.
It is PT.
Actually, yeah, that's fair.
I
PT,
bet, yeah.
I mean, but definitely PT is the best thing I've played. It's one of the reasons I'm getting a PS4.
I fear that game.
Jesus Christ. I genuinely think it's done something
Look
to you
behind you.
Because
on a
like,
psychological
from what
level.
I've seen of the new trailer as well, it looks like it's going to be like that.
Yeah, very similar,
There's
isn't
going to be
it?
one big.
I think that's quite a departure from Silent Hill, because they haven't done a first person.
That's if it's even going to be properly first
But
person.
that's what I mean by the next trailer. Like,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
they
but
put out afterwards, that was first
Yeah.
person as well, wasn't it?
I think it would. I mean, one thing I did read was that if they're doing it first person, why did they bother hiring Norman Reedus?
I imagine it all like
If you're not going to
crossing
see him quite a lot, then
mirrors and stuff. I imagine what it'll be.
Mirrors and
You
stuff.
don't know. I imagine what it'll
Hideo
be.
Kojima though, so there's going to be cutscenes of him.
there would be. To be honest, with Kodge, that's what's great about PT. It's so Kojima.
The way
Yeah.
I
So
imagine,
I love that it breaks the fourth wall in the way that it does and stuff.
but the way I imagine it is because it goes back to in Silent Hill 4 when you were in the house that you used to go into Silent Hill. You were in first person.
Is that the room?
Silent Hill 4 room? You'd be basically in the room where you were stuck for most of the game. It was in first person. You had to light candles in order to ward off the spirits. But when you went into Silent Hill, it was third person. while obviously we don't know, I'd like to imagine that basically when you enter a house, it would go to first person. However, when you're walking around the town itself and
That's a very
like
good
combat and stuff like that, it would be third person. Because the only reason I get it is from
Would
the
there be combat? Do you reckon it'll actually have traditional
I would
style
like to
combat?
think that there would be combat in it, like because it's not because it's a staple of the things. Because combat in the Silent Hill games is shit. You are a normal human being. You're not like a superhuman like you feel in Resident Evil. Like you can take as many hits as you can.
I mean, one of the things I loved about PT was that you couldn't do anything. You could zoom in on the scary stuff to make it even scarier. That was literally the only control, really, other than walking.
Yeah.
That was the only control you actually
But
had
it was
over
a
that game.
subtle
It was
game.
that thing you don't want to look at. The only thing you can do is either turn around or look at it closer. And even if you fucking turned around, she'd grab you and it would scare the shit out of you.
Well,
So-
scare the shit out of you.
Me. particularly. Gosh.
I'm relishing.
When I played that game, I just stared at the abortion and hoped I would die soon.
That is an incredible game. Incredible game.
Such a
that's-
small piece of.
PT looked incredible, I think.
Regardless.
It was photoreal, isn't it?
Yeah. And apparently he wanted it to be. They kind of toned it down, but he really wanted it to not look as super high polished
And
and
even when it doesn't, it looks fantastic.
yeah, it's an incredible game. Incredible game, really, and like just the design of it as well.
Just
The
design.
idea of it all, I think it just works incredibly. But I mean, what's the best thing you've played on Next Gen? Would you say Destiny?
Gameplay wise, yeah, but storyline wise, it's just total dog.
It's
But,
arse, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't
Guardian,
know,
you must help me.
I can't remember. I played Battlefield 4. That was brilliant, but I had no one to play with other than amazing people who just blasting
Playing
the shit
with
out
yourself.
of me.
Oh.
Yeah.
The
But I mean,
genius of Nidhogg.
like, actual graphically next gen games and stuff, and games that are made to be next gen. I haven't played a lot because none of them have none of them seem properly next gen yet.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I
This is
said,
usually-
Shadows of Mordor for me is the thing that feels next gen because of that system. I've never played anything like that before, and you can tell it takes a lot of computational power to get it as it is, which is why it's massively pared down on
It's
the older
just
consoles.
the price
That
as well.
works so well.
Price, I can't afford to buy anything.
That's
more
why I
than one
traded
game at a
everything
I
time.
think it's the curse of like any launch of any new console. The first year is always going to be a bit ropey, but then
Do
generally
you
the
think it'll
second,
go
third
down
year.
now?
What price wise?
Oliver's kidding himself here. The prices aren't going to be down anytime
I'm
soon.
talking
I
about.
think it's at least another year.
I'm not
before
talking
they
about
even start
price wise. I'm
dropping.
talking about like game quality. Most of the games, like launch games, are kind of like semi okay, mediocre.
I think we're starting to get into the first wave of good,
Yeah, this is what
proper
I mean.
good
I didn't
games
mean
now.
price wise. I mean everything obviously eventually drops down. In
I mean,
price.
just in the past couple of months, you've had Alien Isolation, which I played
Fantastic.
about half of and was really good, but it's too scary for me. I can't deal with it.
Last night I played the Oculus Rift version of it again.
Did you?
Yeah, and it was.
Where did you play that?
My brother's got it, and it's the new Oculus Rift, so it's like you can lean and it leans with you and stuff. And he put me because the first time I played
play
it was just
PC with
walking
that.
around the environment, so I was just getting scared by the environment and didn't see the alien. And then last night he put me in like a gauntlet level where you just got to get through to the other side.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And fuck me, man.
It's
It was
horrible.
brilliant. It was so good, but it's horrible because like you just totally immersed. The only thing that sets it out from it is the controller because it was just an Xbox 360 controller. So that's the only thing that because now and again you just tend to automatically turn with the controller rather than your head. But yeah, there was just a bit where I was like crouching behind like at the end of these pipes and I was just watching the alien like looking for me around the pipes and I was like going around the other side. And then all of a sudden he was behind me and there's his tail sticking out. Yeah, and then there was a bit where I was hidden in the pipes. I was like, he's going to look down this pipe any minute.
Do you
And
think-
he did. And he just pulled me out. And it was like,
Do you think that because the Oculus Rift, I'm desperate to have a go on an Oculus Rift.
oh, man.
Do you think it's the next thing, the next
Yes.
big thing?
Yeah, I was playing also, I had like a little game on Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, I've heard
My
amazing
God,
things
man.
about that. That's
Yeah.
the space combat thing.
Yeah, but space combat, and it's like you're
You're
sat
in
in
the
the cockpit, and
yeah.
it's a really gorgeous looking cockpit, and you like turn around, and there's like different control panels on each side of you, and with the Oculus Rift, you're sat there, and you can look at your hands, and you can just turn towards a different screen. It'll open up in front of you and stuff, and piloting in it was just beautiful. It was amazing, and then in the ship. There was a bit where we pulled up to a planet. Like my brother just set me on course to go to this planet, and he
This
was
PC,
like,
obviously.
yeah, and just pulled up in front of it, and it was like something off Interstellar, man. It just pulled up in front of this sun, and all of a sudden I was just like, oh my god! It was just beautiful.
I've heard nothing but good things
Yeah,
about
I'm
New
very
Dangerous.
excited about it.
Exactly. Well, it's why I'm looking forward to the was it No Man's Sky on PS4?
No Man's
Yes.
Sky looks
That would be
fucking incredible.
totally fucking gorgeous
Yeah.
on the Oculus.
Again, that's again. I
What's
think
the,
using the
the
computational
PlayStation
power
version?
of the PS4 and of the next generation. I think it's a proper next generation.
Because
game.
is Oculus Rift
Morpheus,
the free...
Project Morpheus
Yeah,
is the
that's
PS4
the
one.
PS4
I mean, I wouldn't be able to get an Oculus Rift because I would never be able to afford it, or B, have a computer powerful
You have to be
enough.
pretty tech savvy as well.
Yeah.
My
It
brother's
seems to
getting
be.
loads of demos and upgrades and stuff for it. Like Laura had to go on it was just a little, like there's loads of tech demos that people put out so like you can see the potential. And there was one that Laura was on last night where it was, you sat in line for the bus stop from My Neighbour Totoro.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Totoro, whatever. And she said it was like she was absolutely amazed. Like when we were driving home, she was like, "I feel like I've met him," because she said it like you just stood there, and then all of a sudden this giant
He's right there, like in
Totoro
the film.
comes out, and he's just stood next to you, and you have to hand him like an umbrella and
Sounds
stuff.
amazing. Do you hand in the umbrella with the controller? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's just like general buttons. But I've
Press A
seen
to
a
hand
video
umbrella.
of some guy using Half-Life.
Yeah,
2.
like haptic gloves.
Yeah.
Mm.
That looks like.
There's one. I mean, the one thing that I'm interested in Oculus Rift at the moment is again like the Totoro thing. Someone's created Jerry Seinfeld's apartment from Seinfeld. I'm such a Seinfeld fan. I would just literally die just wandering around that. That would be incredible. So I think that is a big thing for the next generation. I think that's going to be the next massive thing. So
Well, we'll only wait and see, isn't it? We're a year in. Come back to it in another year
yeah,
and
it's
see
going
how
to
we
be really
stand.
interesting. I think. Right, do we think it's time to head over to whatever that strange sound is over
There's
in
some
the
clinking
other
over
corner
there.
of the trash compactor?
Someone's getting-
Maybe it's that weird thing that lives under the sea. It's not a sea, is it? That lives under the water
The
that
diver.
grabs Luke.
I say died off.
There's something alive in here.
That's your imagination.
Something just moved past my leg.
So, oh god, I'm so glad we managed to wade through all of that trash over there to investigate the new sound, which is, Ollie, our next section.
Which is called Housefire.
Yes, perhaps insensitively titled Housefire.
It's not my
I
fault
instantly
that house burned
apologise for
down.
coming up with this, by the way. I can't
Hurry up,
regret
I've lost
that.
an eyebrow already.
Unless you can't tell, we are currently...
Can there be a house fire in the Star Wars trash compactor?
Well, considering we're sat in a house inside a trash compactor, which is currently on fire, I would assume so.
Okay, well the concept then is you all fucking
You
know
say
it.
concept.
It's a top 5 basically, but I thought I'd make it a little bit more interesting by shadowing it in the guise of your house is on fire. So what? Let's assume that you've got out your loved ones and your most prized belongings first of all, and then you think, oh shit, do you know what? I better run back into the house.
The wall's closing in, and you've got to grab something before the wall's closing in.
Because that would have been an excellent idea. Why didn't you suggest that earlier?
If we're getting out of the trash compactor,
Where would the
then
podcast
where
be?
would the podcast be?
Would just be in a corridor.
Yeah.
Well, it opens up again, doesn't it?
Yeah. What? And then we clamber back in because it was so nice.
We are
Oh, for
blessed.
fuck's sake! I was just you were like smash and grab your 5 favourite things. Obviously, in the
This is
trash
why-
can.
Well, all right then.
You gotta get out.
Come up with a
The wall's
section
closing
next
in.
time then.
What are your top 5?
Fine. Fucking walls are closing in. All right. So Chris, what are your bloody top 5 shooters? I'm done with this shit.
All right then. Well,
Shooters, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed, each episode we're doing top 5. I guess we'll start off with types of games,
Personal
but
tastes, shall we say.
yeah, we might move into films and stuff.
Oh, hopefully.
Basically, it's a top 5. It's a top 5.
I.e.
So we're either the walls are closing in or there's some kind of fire. Either
Fat
way,
girl coming towards us.
let's go with
Still
Chris
there.
first. But the way we're going to do it, by the way, if we happen to have the same game on the list, so Chris will go first. If he happens to mention a game that any of us have on our lists, then we'll chime in with our opinions on that particular game, and where we have it in our list as well. Otherwise, we'll just end up repeating ourselves. Yeah, well, exactly. So over to you, Chris. Go on. What's your number 5 that you grab from the smouldering
So that's my
trash
least
heap?
favourite. Well, not my least. Well, the least out of the 5. So probably say Destiny. Just because it's the, as I was saying before, it's the slickest shooter I've ever played. It's like the best feeling one. Like I was saying before, like
It feels good.
Once you start, like when you're in the mix of just a massive gunfight, and like if you're a hunter, well, I don't know if you get in other classes, but you get a throwing knife, and you're literally just jumping around, throwing knives. You catch somebody in the head, their head pops off, and meanwhile you turn around shooting a bunch of other guys. Like today, there was just me and another guy, and we went into this room, and hordes of them came out, and we were just literally just popping skulls as we went in, but just rapidly, and it was just brilliant. And then we just went in a big circle, just completely decimating this
Do you
thing.
find, because you said earlier that the story is complete arse, do you find that actually with shooters it matters, or do you actually just
I
get
think it
joy
does,
joy in the feeling of
Yeah,
what you're
because
doing?
the card games, they like for me, they've just been complete. Just go down a tunnel, and it doesn't matter what the story is. Like I didn't know
That's
what
interesting,
most of the story, and like I mean, it depends though, because like say you've got like on my another one on my list is Bad Company 2, and that's like
Is that your number 4?
yeah,
Would be a
maybe
nice way to segue.
I was gonna say maybe Medal of Honor 2 is mine.
All right, go back to Bad Company.
Alright, okay, so Bad Company 2 was like storyline in the game was pretty nonsense, and I didn't really understand what was going on.
Just an action film. Really,
It was
wasn't
just like a short action film, and it just went really quickly. But the online
When's Bad
play in
Company
there-
2 set? Sorry, I didn't play it.
No.
It's
No.
kind of
Sorry, which
like
game?
Bad Company 2.
Present.
Bad Company 2, it's present day, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with an 80s.
It's a bit
tinge,
Modern Warfare, isn't
I'd
it?
say.
Yeah, it's like Battlefield 3 kind of era. But
Where Modern Warfare and all the Call of Duties, you're a specialist super soldier,
Yeah.
etc. You're just a grunt soldier.
Yeah.
So that's where it's different.
yeah.
On a
What
big
is it that you
battlefield.
really enjoyed about it then? Considering
online play of that was just perfect, and like the sound and the guns.
I thought
I
the
will
sound
say
was-
the same that because I haven't really played Battlefield, but I played Battlefield 4. Is that what we're on?
That was the
now?
one.
Yeah.
On PS4, and the first thing I noticed, the sound design in that game is.
But you go in, you're shooting
incredible.
outside, and then you go inside, and it sounds completely different.
I think even
echoes
Bad
and-
Company 2 had better sound effects than Battlefield
Yeah.
3.
Oh, that's a shame.
I found the guns like much more satisfying to shoot and stuff. Like if you have a
even
single
when,
shot,
even when you get
rifle-
shot at by a sniper,
yeah.
you hear that
It's like
whip
that
crack
crack.
across
Yeah,
the
yeah,
horizon. It's like,
yeah.
whoa.
But like there's levels where you're in a town, and the destruction in
Yeah.
that game was just.
I have to agree
brilliant.
Didn't they scale it back for
They
3?
scaled it
They
back,
did.
and I don't know why, because it's just the best thing.
They scaled
ever.
it back with the graphic level, the quality
Yeah, no,
went up.
why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but it was so much better than
Yeah.
when they build it. Say if you're in like a 2-story building, you're up in the top, and the walls are just falling around you, and then all of a sudden the building starts falling, and you
It
like
falls
there's
on
that
top of you.
creak, isn't there? There's
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
As it's about to fall, and everyone just dives out of the windows or
Or
runs
sits in
down the
like
stairs.
In Bad Company 2?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They made such a big deal out of that with the Battlefield 4 trailer. Do you remember they showed the
it's
kind
still
of
like in
thing
it's
where
all
there's like a
scripted.
skyscraper?
Yeah.
And, you know, they're all,
But
they all
it was
kind of jump
it's
out.
still not as good as
Is it scripted in Battlefield 4?
I think it was. Yeah,
Because
from
in
what I
Bad
played.
Company, you can just literally work on a building with C4 and just go,
Yeah.
we're bringing this down
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Is Bad Company 2 on either of your lists, Tristan?
No.
No, it was just off. I mean,
Just off.
it was
Because
brilliant.
it's,
a
it's
fantastic game.
almost on a par with Battlefield 3.
However,
but
I went
it's
with.
like I was saying, Destruction just took me out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was late to that party anyway, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it.
What Battlefield? Bad Company
Bad
2?
Company 2, it's
Right,
not on
okay.
my list, but
I was never invited to that party.
you should have come. There was cake.
so another one would be Medal of Honor 2.
You're
Yes.
number 3. Medal of Honor 2?
I
Do you
want to
mean,
say Medal of Honor 2.
are you talking about on the PS1?
PS1.
Medal of Honor Underground?
Yeah, that would be the second one.
The one where you're fighting in the French Resistance is the second game.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was just Medal of Honor then.
Medal of Honor, you're... what the fuck is his name?
Thompson.
The main guy now.
Yeah.
Bukowski.
One of the Medal of Honors on
But yeah,
PS1.
I'm pretty sure it must have been the first one. 'cause
Yeah,
I just
fantastic
loved
game.
that. Yeah.
That's my number
Story
5, I'll say
is
now, that's my
brilliant.
number 5.
I
Yeah.
never played that.
Story.
Even like the what's it? The menu on the game. It was like a war room.
Yeah,
You
it
went
was
round, had a
so
typewriter,
So
had a
good.
compass, and all
You had
that.
that
It was
guy
really-
yeah,
like
it had
talking
stuff on
over
the
as
wall.
Yeah,
well.
it was brilliant. And then you had
I
like,
still recognise that guy's voice, like he does a load of voice work and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and I still know him as, oh, that's that guy from the menus of Medal of Honor. Like, I
He was
still
apparently he
recognise
was
that.
in Band of Brothers because my brother worked on
Yeah,
Band
yeah.
of Brothers, and he was like a German tank like commander on that.
Yeah.
Apparently he was really fiery and like shouted at people a lot and stuff.
I love that game. Man.
But yeah, he had a brilliant voice though, didn't he? He was
Yeah.
giving you the
Yeah.
debriefs and stuff. It was like I don't know, it was just perfect. It
He's,
was so-
have you played it recently?
No, yeah, I bet it's.
The problem with it now is that you're used to two
Modern
sticks,
shooters.
Yeah.
and you're used to, you know, the left one being backwards and forwards, and the right one being look around you, and then you've developed, thanks to sort of Halo, I guess, the kind of motion that you expect from a first-person shooter. It does have it, but I remember at the time playing it because I pretty much had very, very few games on the PS1, but the two I would always play endlessly was Metal Gear Solid and Medal of Honor. And the thing that I would find was that you would strafe using the R2 and L2.
Yeah.
So that was basically your kind of going left and right on the left stick. And I remember playing like 2-player Medal of Honor with my sister, and she was shit at it because I was just strafing around her in a circle, just shooting her just endlessly. So much fun. It's brilliant. Didn't it have like a kind of unlockable secret ending where it went a bit Wolfenstein? You kind of went into like a secret castle. It was either that one or it was Underground. And I did eventually get Underground. And I liked it. I liked the fact that you had the Molotov cocktails, but that's really all I remember from it because I kept going back to that one. But one of them did have a really cool unlockable final level where it went all Wolfenstein and you had to invade a castle, and there were, at the time I didn't know it was Wolfenstein, but there were like dogs and there was a robot Hitler and all this kind of stuff. And
it must have been
brilliant
too.
game.
That's another one. See, I'm stuck on my last two then, if it's in ascending order, but I might have to say GoldenEye is my number 2 then, maybe.
Okay.
Just
The
because
classic.
I have good memories of it, but like the next one is like I've got I've got funner memories of it. But the next one, so GoldenEye, because that's just hours of playing that with my brother and all
How
my
old were
friends.
you when GoldenEye came out?
Oh god, was that
When you played GoldenEye?
7 or 8 or something like that?
97.
I don't know.
So you're what, 10?
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I used to play against my brother, and he was just incredibly hard to play. So that made me better against my friends. So I was always better than my friends, but never as good as my brother. And yeah, that was just brilliant. We replayed the levels on that so much, and then verses on it.
Endless fun. wasn't
Has
it?
anyone else got GoldenEye? Have you got GoldenEye?
I don't have it, but I play
Have you got it on your list, sorry?
No, not on my list, no.
Have you
Not
got it
on
on
my
your
list, no.
Alright, so next one. Well,
So just going back to GoldenEye,
Okay.
I always felt people always go back to GoldenEye and talk about GoldenEye as the first-person shooter, the best
Well, it
thing.
was at the time.
I didn't have an N64, so I missed out on GoldenEye, Ocarina of Time, and Mario 64, which people talk about as 3 of the greatest games ever. I never really played them, and I've tried to go back because I've got a Wii. I've tried to go back and play, particularly Mario and Ocarina, and I can't get through them. I think
it's
it's
a
just
different
maybe a
time.
product of the time. Particularly Mario, I just find Galaxy has kind of ruined it
Going
for
back
me
to Mario
because it's
64 is kind of a bit
3D
archaic.
Mario that isn't Galaxy now. It just seems like a
No.
waste of time because Galaxy is insanely brilliant. But with GoldenEye, my friend Michael, he was the one with an N64, so we would go around and play that a little bit. And I remember playing it at his dad's house. But I don't have massive memories of it. What I largely remember was Perfect Dark, which was from the same developers.
Yeah.
And I remember playing that a lot, particularly the gun that shot through walls. I really, really enjoyed that game.
Was that in GoldenEye? Was that like the Golden Gun?
Yeah,
Wasn't the Golden Gun one-shot kill?
Yeah, no, that was it.
Yeah,
So that's
but I
like-
think it went through everything as well.
Oh, did it?
There was
Yeah.
a gun that ricocheted. I think that was the golden gun. I mean,
Didn't
obviously,
people used to play as odd job, so you were kind of
Yeah, so you
shorter,
were
so
shorter.
everyone had to aim down.
Yeah, they're just like the big block hands that
Which
people
is like,
have. They're like
shot.
Lego hands where they're just like
Sure.
The music, I think
claws.
the music is quite
Yeah,
underrated.
like
isn't it?
Silo.
Yeah,
the
amazing,
one where you
amazing
come through
music.
the toilet and oh man, it's beautiful.
It
And
is
trying to
brilliant.
stealth it as much as you could until you get into the
The main
the
control.
corridor with
Yeah.
all the big.
Cameras? Are there cameras?
There was
There was
missiles.
the cameras, and then there was a corridor that had loads of like big tankers in it, and
Oh,
to
yeah.
get through that was like not impossible with like sneaking.
So what's better than GoldenEye?
What is
Halo
number one?
2,
Halo 2.
Interesting
Yeah.
choice.
because just I used to play that all the time again with my
The
brother.
Arbiter.
Yeah, but like the story, bit nuts in it, I guess, towards the end.
It was brilliant,
but-
brilliant. End was just.
Yeah, everyone says it's shit, but again, I never had an Xbox, so what happens in the end?
Is it that
You
go-
don't finish the fight. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, I think you get taken by that giant plant thing from the flood.
The Arbiter gets taken. Master Chief goes back to Earth, and he goes, "Where are you going?" To finish the fight, and it ends.
Yeah.
It's a very anticlimactic.
Haven't they changed it for the Master Chief
I believe
Collection?
they've changed. I believe I read that somewhere that they've
Yeah,
changed a
I'm
little
sure I
bit.
read
They've-
it.
they've
Because I think
removed
it's
that
famously shit. Like, everyone hates the
But
ending.
the whole campaign's brilliant
Yeah,
up to
it's-
the end, and it's just. Oh.
part. I have no memories of that.
And it
campaign.
was the
That's how
first one that was
back in
online
that
as well, properly.
Yeah.
So that was why it's brilliant. The multiplayer. But how many hours did we spend playing that?
I think
Split
we
screen.
spent-
You
like
played it
that?
online on an
Yeah.
original Xbox?
Oh my god!
It
We used to
Xbox
go
was
around to a
weird,
friend's
yeah.
house and link up
Yeah, we
two
did.
computers and
Little LAN party.
I remember you guys, when I first met you guys had LAN parties.
Yeah,
with
with Gears
Bruno's
1.
house, with our friend Bruno, and
Legendary
yeah, it was
times they
Gears.
were.
It was Gears that you
Oh
guys
God,
would play.
yeah, Gears.
And while everyone was ordering pizza, you guys would swap eggs on Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. Oh yeah! Wow, how do you know? How does he know that?
Because that was the only time I ever saw Resident Evil 4 in
There was
action.
these eggs that you
Trophies
could, like
on it.
basically.
You could get
I found the
Yeah.
eggs and I gave Ollie some eggs. He's like, got some gold eggs on. Yeah, I do have some gold eggs. I gave him the gold eggs.
It wasn't a drug reference, I swear.
So yeah, that for me, the
That was Chris's
that
top
just
five.
like rounded off multiplayer and rocket matches, rocket
Oh, God.
launcher matches on
Oh
that with my brother.
Yeah.
All I
Best times
remember
ever, man.
about
Yeah.
Halo 2 was getting all the vehicles in. What was the map we always used to play?
Was it the one with the two
It was-
bunkers?
No, it was
not
in the
Gulch.
city,
It was in the
construction.
city. There was basically a jump across a bridge. It was by the bay. For the life of me, I cannot remember it. All I remember is getting all the vehicles and putting it inside one of the buildings. That became a little car shop.
Yeah, it
that everyone would
was like
destroy.
a car showroom for you, wasn't it? And we used to come and
I got
blow it
bored
up.
killing people. It took half an hour of killing people. It was like, kind of bored now. I'm going to take all these vehicles, put them in this room, and kind of sell them to everyone. Everyone would
Well, you
just
just
blow 'em
turned one of the greatest shooters of all time into a
car
car
show,
Into a
showroom
car
simulator.
Yeah, and Bruno used to come along with a rocket launcher and destroy his day.
up. I couldn't have anything fun. Nothing
Yeah,
fun.
that's why we
Right.
don't have nice things.
This is why we don't have nice things.
fun, go somewhere else!
Okay, right, thanks Chris. So Trish, what about you? What are you going to say from this burning trash heap?
Right.
While the walls close in around
That's
us.
my fifth choice. I'm going to say Borderlands 1.
Oh, you bastard.
I spent a whole year online.
Have you got Borderlands as well?
I don't have that on there, but I wish I did.
I spent a whole year online playing that with Ollie.
I can concur. That was
You know,
fantastic.
going around the whole of what's the place called?
Pandora.
Pandora. Yeah. We thought that was a bit quite controversial since Avatar came out the same year. We were like, "Ooh, are we on that planet or what?"
Luckily, there were no big.
But
gay
I
cats.
thoroughly enjoyed my acid shotgun that fired rockets at stuff. That was great.
Nothing beats
Did you
that.
ever play Borderlands?
No.
Well, it was-
I downloaded Borderlands 2 because it was free on PS Plus,
That
and it was sort of alright. But then I only played it in
See, the problem with
in
Borderlands is
single player.
it was this is the problem Rob would have had. Borderlands as a single player thing, it
could get
works.
dull.
It's just a pain in the ass. The only way to play Borderlands is with more people. It's one of those games which is built solely for the multiplayer, and because of that,
People
was
love
a-
it.
Yeah,
People
God,
really
yeah.
love that game.
Well, it's
I
got
can remember playing it when it came out, and we got it on Christmas Day. And
yeah,
we
Christmas Day
started playing from day one.
99, 2009.
99.
We went back in time, played for a bit, then we went back
on
to
a
the future.
PS1.
It was a good time.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed playing that. I mean, that game made me greedy
What?
because just the
the
loot
hoarding.
and the horde, the all. Oh
It's
my
got-
god!
Did Destiny
it's-
do that to you?
It's a gateway drug.
Make you
That's
greedy,
the-
like you want the
You
next
just-
thing,
oh my-
desperate to get the next.
No, I just like shooting stuff.
Alright.
Chris doesn't have an addictive personality. Like
Chris is
us.
easily pleased. Just like shooting stuff.
Well, because for me, like I just jump in and out of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sorry.
But yeah, Borderlands was brilliant.
It was a good game.
Loads of adventure. All the downloadable content packs as well were great.
Well, it lasted an entire year.
Impossibly
didn't
hard.
it?
Brilliant though.
That last boss.
My fourth choice is going to be the first Ghost Recon. It was so tactical, it was unbelievable.
I never played.
I never played Ghost
There
Recon.
wasn't even a gun on the screen, but you just
Ghost
had
Recon
the
is-
crosshair,
This is
and
PS2,
it was
right?
so. Yeah, I had it on
Yeah,
Xbox.
I bet Laura would back you up on that because that's still her favourite. I think that's her favourite
Yeah.
game that she ever played.
Like,
Really?
Yeah, she used to play it around
didn't-
with her ex-boyfriend.
It didn't tell you how to
Really?
play the game.
That's really weird. I cannot imagine
Yeah,
your
no,
missus
really.
playing that game.
Really, that's really strange.
Yeah, I think she just enjoy it.
I love how your fiance's favourite game is is it SOCOM 4?
Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon, sorry. Whereas mine is Spyro the fucking Dragon.
As I'm
Madness.
sure we will at another time.
What, Spyro?
Yeah.
What, top 5 greatest shit games
Platformers.
about dragons?
Oh, fuck.
Triss, continue.
Yeah, anyway. So Ghost Recon is incredibly tactical. It didn't tell you how to play the game, it just let you just get on with it, and it was really hard.
It was a learning experience.
One shot, you'd be on yellow health, 2 shots, you're dead.
I would
And-
be shit
and-
at that.
You know, the enemies are they're just hiding in the underbrush. You've really got to scout. You've got to use your binoculars to look ahead.
Wasn't Ghost Recon third person?
It was the
original
very
PS2.
first
No,
one
Xbox
was
wasn't it?
first person.
Okay.
You had 2 teams of 3, and you'd have to send them around. You could arm them
I was
however
going
you
to say,
wanted.
was it like Republic Commando where you would send people?
You could send them
No,
off,
it's,
but you could beat them as
uh,
they're running along on the order.
Oh, right.
But you could shoot as well. It was
Okay.
it was a complete first person experience.
What was that other
But
fucking
you really-
They should put that on the back of the box.
Yeah,
The complete
but
first person experience.
as opposed to real time strategy.
Yeah.
And if you want accuracy, you'd really have to stop and lie down and aim rather than running and just gunning like you can in most
Sounds
games.
pretty good.
It was good.
It was a fantastic game.
Yeah.
If there was a sniper out there, you'd never see. Anyway, third choice is going to be Halo for obvious reasons.
First Halo?
The first one.
Yeah, first one.
Yeah,
First
Who
Who
Halo.
did you play it with?
I played it with my uncle. He bought a 360.
Uncle
No,
John.
not 360. The original
Original
Xbox.
Xbox.
It's John, isn't it?
Yeah. When it all came out, and I just played it with him, and then it sort of evolved into playing it with friends. It was just.
That's where a good friendship grew.
We all play it. We know how good it is. Did you play it? Rob?
Nope.
Oh, there you go.
We mostly know how good
Low
it is.
on the outside here. Again, it's one of those things where I guess if you had an Xbox, but for me, I've never had 2 consoles. At the moment, the fact that at home I've got a PS3, a PS4, and a Wii, and I've got a Vita as well, like that's the most technologically advanced I've ever been in terms of consoles. It was always, right, what console do I have? Because I could never afford it, or it was, I would ask for it for Christmas. And it would be, I had a PS2. Like Michael had an Xbox. He was always my alternative, like console guy. I would have the PlayStations, and he would have the N64s or the Xboxes. So like it was around his that I played Republic Commando on the Xbox,
Yeah, that was
which is how I know that's amazing. And Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh,
Again,
God.
great games on
That's
the
about
original
right.
Xbox.
We're going to have to do an RPG one of this.
Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, again, like Halo, everyone fucking knows and loves Halo. And
It's
I'm like,
fantastic.
whatever, it just looks
Well.
like a really average shooter to me.
I
It's
think
a
you have
shame.
to be there.
So the first one's definitely the top tier of the lot. Second choice is really hard. It went down to Modern Warfare 2. Just the amount of time I spent on the multiplayer.
You got Modern Warfare
with the
2
gang
as well.
also
With the
on my
gang of
list.
friends I had. I mean, Modern Warfare
Well,
1,
number
Call of Duty
4.
4, the campaign was brilliant. And I loved the multiplayer on that. But I spent more time on Modern Warfare 2. And the fun I had and the hype. I was so hyped about it when it was coming
There was a
out.
lot of hype about it. I remember I
So-
lived with you, Ollie, at the time, and
Yeah,
you bought the
Premier
fucking...
thing as well.
Yeah,
in London.
it was
Yeah.
crazy. It was like the biggest selling game of all time at the time.
Yeah.
It outsold all the Harry Potter films put together. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
To be fair, it
unbelievable.
did cost 40 quid to buy a copy of it,
Yeah.
whereas, I
So-
defend everything Harry.
So I don't really need to say much for that. Just had loads of fun
Well,
with
it's on my list as well.
it. And
Number 4, by the way.
my first
Okay.
choice is going to be Battlefield 3.
Yeah, that's on my list as
It's,
well.
it's an obvious choice. The graphics are great. The sound is great. You can drive a tank
Three
if
was
you want. Sorry,
Battlefield 3, yeah, that's
You
awesome.
can drive a tank. You can fly a plane, which I love.
Sniping on
you can
the
snipe with it.
Battlefield games, yeah.
God.
All the effects, it's great. The
how-
massive multiplayer
How many
experience.
So many
hours
of
would you say
yours
we've
are-
sunk into that?
Oh, I don't know. I reckon
looked
it's
at this-
2 weeks of playing matches. That's not
Pure.
on the games. I think it's 2 weeks of matches, and those matches can be like an hour long.
God.
So that's
I'd
like
probably
2
like
weeks
the
of
same.
solid playing.
Mm.
So
Battlefield
So
3.
many of your choices are multiplayer.
Well,
yeah, I
find that
just
really interesting.
because I like playing with friends and it's great.
Yeah.
Battlefield 3 on my list is number
Literally
2.
none of
so.
mine are.
Low.
But yeah, that's my choice.
Rob,
Who's next?
Oliver, would you like to go?
I will go next. As we've already established, Modern Warfare 2 and Battlefield 3 are already on my list, so I won't cover them.
What numbers are they?
They were number 4 for Modern Warfare 2,
Okay.
and number 2 for Battlefield 3.
Okay, go on then. What's
So-
your number 5?
Number 5 is the original Time Splitters for PlayStation 2.
Oh, such a
Mostly
fucking
because it
brilliant
was GoldenEye Plus.
game. GoldenEye on
On
PS2 as well. It was so fast as well.
it
Like
was
GoldenEye's
really
pretty
fast.
quick, but Time Splitters, I remember just being really
It's one of
fast,
the
and I
only
like
launch
this
games
stupid sense of humour.
I
in
can
it as well.
think where I played that. God knows how many. Again, it's one of those things that I think with shooters, it's definitely like the ones that stay in your mind are the ones you play with friends. And I played this with a friend of mine, Susan here. But it's just one of those things like I just remember going around his house and playing that for hours upon end. And it's essentially it would just be split screen, just like GoldenEye is for Chris, but just hours sunk into that game, like. Almost, I wouldn't say like 2 weeks like what I've sunk into Battlefield 3, because obviously I have no sense of how much time I've spent with the original Time
Yeah, yeah.
Splitters, but it's just a nostalgic feeling of like when I think.
You
about
played one more than two then?
Yeah, I only played the demo of the second one.
Did you guys ever play Time Splitters?
Yes.
That's okay.
No, I never played it.
Did you not?
No. Like, no, my brother swears by it, but.
Two, I mean, personally, I would say 2 is a better game, but
And two is probably
partly
better.
because I really like the story and the single player mode of that.
See, the first one
but
didn't have a
it's
story.
got like it's slightly mental, like with the guns and the character design, and it just has a lot of fun with it. I mean, I really enjoyed the third one as well. A lot of people don't like it, but I think Time Splitters. I would love them to bring back Time
Well, they were
Splitters.
going to they tried to Time Splitters 4, but then who was the creator? I want to say
Free
Free
Radical.
It was Free Radical.
They did Haze. They made
Haze, and then they
one
died.
disastrous game, and then that
Well,
was
it's
the
just
end
the
of them.
industry in its own, isn't it? You make one wrong game, and yet.
Haze is shit, properly shit. As someone who owns a PS3, I can say that much. It's a terrible game.
Anyway,
Go on then.
that was number 5. Number 3, obviously, because we're skipping, is Gunman Chronicles, which probably no one here is going to know.
No idea what you're talking
Gunman
about.
Chronicles was a
A little
mod.
game you made up.
No, I dreamt about.
Did you
no,
draw it
wished it
like,
existed.
in like flickbook
No.
form in your school books?
Honest to God, Gunman Chronicles was a mod for the original.
Open.
However, Gunman Chronicles was a mod which was more of like a sci-fi game. The only way I can describe it is basically it's the Civil War in space.
Okay.
It's like
What Civil War?
the American Civil War.
Oh, okay.
Not the War of the Roses. Not some
That is a game I would play.
I think that
War of the Roses in space. I would fucking
Mass
play.
Effect, isn't it?
It's Mass Effect. Yeah, good point.
But you were essentially it was essentially the North versus the South. You played a Northman. They were good guys, right?
Yep.
And you went to a planet to investigate a signal, and it turns out your original commander is there, and he's evil now. He's created the uprising. He's using these I want to say xenomorphs, but they're not called xenomorphs. But for the purposes of this, they are called xenomorphs. But
Aliens of some kind.
They are aliens of some variety, but they're silicon based. It's a game which has always sat in the back of my mind because no one can actually play it. It's not on Steam, whereas all the other Half-Life games are, because it wasn't made by Valve. It was essentially made by a company which, for the life of me, I can't remember. It was published by Sierra, and it was just a little fun sci-fi shooter that I remember from King, and you used to be able to fly a tank. It had a flying tank and it had a gun.
Sounds right.
It was alright.
Buy into a flying tank game.
It was an awesome flying tank. However, that's not my number one because
What's your number one then?
BioShock. The original BioShock.
I have BioShock at my number 2.
The original one.
Yes.
Can't believe it's in number 2.
It's at number 2.
I imagine another
I
BioShock
I
would be at number
love
one.
BioShock. We'll get there,
We
but
will.
I.
But the
What
original,
do you like about BioShock?
the original BioShock is just the ultimate dystopia. It's like the ultimate dystopia shooter. I can't think of any game that I've fallen more in love with at that time than the original BioShock. Just like the setting, the atmosphere. Like I'm a big survival horror fan. Like any kind of Silent Hill, Resident Evil, like PT,
Well,
as we
PT,
already,
yeah.
PT as we already discussed. Anything kind of horror based, I will immediately invest my time into. And it was just. There's something about the atmosphere that just kind of gets at you.
Yeah,
like I love the 1930s aesthetic.
incredibly well done.
I think 1940s, isn't it? Regardless, it's just a nice. It's a tight shooter. You've got the plasmids as well, so
It's
it's
very
kind
Art Deco as well, isn't it?
the art,
the
the art-
design of
the
it. Do you
art
know what,
design-
graphically, still to this day, looks
It's
amazing. I
beautiful.
think it helps, like even the water effects in just the. What I love about that game is the fact that that game is unlike any
Anything
other
else.
game for me, other than Infinite,
Well,
because
it's,
it's in terms of
precursors.
its intelligence.
Mm.
It's the fact that it's basically a novel. Like it's filled with ideas. It's filled. It looks at philosophical concepts and economic models and the idea. It's a
It's very Ayn
dystopia
Rand.
that has been taken. Well, it's entirely from the idea of Ayn Rand and I think it's objectivism.
Yeah.
And she, but then they take that and go, fuck it, let's just build a city underwater because that looks awesome.
Mm.
But then they build so many ideas in it. Like again, I'll mention Infinite now just because we've mentioned BioShock. But for me, BioShock Infinite's number 4 on my list. And I know Chris, you didn't get on with it, but for me, BioShock Infinite and BioShock have so much in it. Like there are flaws with BioShock Infinite, and I can absolutely admit that. The gameplay, for me, I love the start of it, and then it starts the shooter side of things, and it loses something a little bit. But that's not why I love that game. And it's the same with the original BioShock. That when I finished playing that game, it kind of, and the same with BioShock, it kind of ruined games for me for like 6 months because nothing else does that same
Doesn't
level
come close.
of just doing so, just taking the medium of video games and having so much in it. There's so much intelligence. There's so much layering in there. It's so complex. It's so clever that it works brilliantly. Like, there are so few games that are at that level. Maybe like Journey, I would sort of put up there in terms of trying to do something different and incredible and taking games to a totally different level. That's why I love Bioshock so much. Are you done? That's your number one?
That was my number one, yes.
Okay, well you've just heard my number 4. Medal of Honor was my number 5. My number 3, I was surprised that you guys said Modern Warfare 2, because for me Modern Warfare 1 has got to be one of the best
It's
ever
fantastic.
shooters. And that, again...
The campaign is just
But you guys played online quite a lot, didn't you?
That's why
so I'm
it's
surprised
second
that...
one.
I mean, and considering that was the revolutionary online game, I'm surprised you didn't go for that. But I mean, I never really played that online. I played Modern Warfare 2 more online, again just a little bit. But the story in Cold War Modern Warfare is incredible. And it kind of ties into my number 1 shooter, which is Black on the PS2. I love Black. I know a lot of people don't.
I don't remember
But
Black.
Never
Black
played it.
is incredible. And do you know what? If you go back to it now, I honestly think that Modern Warfare took so much from it. I mean, I got that game. I was due to go on my gap year. I went to LA, as you guys know. And I got it the day before I was due to go. And I remember being at home that evening, putting this game in. I remember just the first thing, you're stuck in a room and you have no idea how to get out, and you pick up a shotgun from the thing and you're like, what do I do now? And the first thing you do is blast the fucking door off its hinges, and then you go outside and you're like, oh, this looks quite nice. Like, graphically, it's a very, very nice game. And then people start shooting at you, obviously, because it's a shooter. But again, sound, much like in Battlefield, is ridiculous in that game. Everything is so loud, you can hear stuff really far off, and I remember bullets like hitting the ground in front of me and like dust coming up all over the place, and it's really hard as well. Like the AI of the enemies is incredible. They will, hide behind doors and like
Stuff
so-
similar to
some-
Fear.
It's very similar to Fear. I was going to say, my other thing, I was very, very close to putting Fear 2 in my top 5, which is such an underrated game. But again, AI and that's amazing. But Black, for me, feels, even to this day, because I went back and played it a few years ago, like about a year or so ago, it's brilliant. And no one talks about that game enough. And they never did a sequel. They did get up to a point where they were developing it, but it's amazing. Like, just an incredible shooter. Right, so I guess that the fire seems to be dying slightly now.
It's alright.
Chris is splashing some of the
I got
water
I
from
got
the
Secretary Higley
from the
box
trash
to get the fire
compactor onto
extinguisher.
it. Brilliant, terrific. So I guess we should end this section, and maybe we should start climbing up on top of that trash pile over there in the corner towards I think maybe our
There's some hot
final
dogs up there.
section. There's some hot dogs up there.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I'm quite hungry, so let's go over there.
You're in a bin.
Listen to them. They're dying, R2. Curse my metal body. I wasn't fast enough. It's all my fault. My poor master. We're all right.
So, we are finally on top of this mound of trash over here. Our final section. We're near escaping this hellhole of a trash compactor. And in order to do it, we need to say what our favourite films of 2014 have been.
So far.
So far, yeah.
Because it is currently still...
Yes, obviously we're still just in November, but some of the rules may be bent ever so slightly with my words. But
If I could raise
anyway,
an eyebrow, I would.
who you went first last time, didn't you?
Yes.
And then it was just I. Okay, shall I go
You go
first?
first.
Yeah.
Okay, all right then I'll go first. So for me, mine, I'm doing the top 5 again. My number 5
So rules
is
as before?
yes, same rules as before, I guess. My
Oh,
number
can I just
5,
ask?
yeah,
Sorry, does it have to be from 2014?
yes.
Shit.
Revisit your list, Chris.
Yes, sorry.
My number 5 film is the best Marvel movie of the year, which is Captain America. Captain America: Winter Soldier,
Still not
which
seen
I think took
Should I leave
the already excellent. No, I won't give any spoilers. I mean, obviously, we need to be really careful with spoilers with where movies are concerned, but. It took the already excellent Captain America, which I really, really liked. I know some people didn't. It's probably the
second that.
most divisive, but for me, as a massive Raiders of the Lost Ark fan, I love the first Captain America because I love that 40s adventure serial thing by you know, the same guy who made The Rocketeer, which again has that same kind of setting, and I thought that was terrific. But Captain America 2 took the character, and they took it and they put it into this 1970s style paranoid thriller kind of thing, which it just worked brilliantly. And I think also what I really enjoyed from it is that I'm watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the effect that the events of Captain America Winter Soldier then had on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are still ongoing even now in season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it was the kind of final third of season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and for me it's all tied up within that, and it just elevated the film and the show so much. But again, the action sequences in it are brilliant, like properly bone-crunching action.
I've heard that it
when he storms the boat at the start,
when he punches people, it looks like he's damaged them.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
When he storms the boat in the opening
Yeah.
sequence, and he just punches this guy, and he just flies straight across the wall, and it doesn't like really focus on that. It's just the fact that he's just that fucking strong, and when he punches someone, they will slam into that wall, or they will fly over his shoulder, and I thought it was brilliant. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was the best Marvel film of this year.
Well.
As we'll come on to. But again, and the second one is fantastic. It is still, as Robert said, very paranoid, like thriller type based. And I liked it. I enjoyed all of it. All the action is perfect. All the characters are nice. It's nice to see some of like the lesser known Marvel characters, such as
Falcon's
Falcon's been put in it.
One thing I really loved about it is that it fleshes out Black Widow so well.
Yeah.
She is so much better
She's
than
a proper
she is
character
in
now.
Avengers, and you know, I think those two working together are brilliant. But yeah, that's my number 5. I really like that. Number 4 for me is, until quite recently actually, when I started thinking about it, was pretty much my number 1. But it's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
That is also on my list.
What number have you got it at?
I have it at number 3.
I think it's brilliant. I mean, technologically, it's an absolute marvel how they have managed to do that. It gets in so close to, you know, the hairs and the skin. You know, you can see the cracks in the skin and their eyes, and I've no idea how they do it. I've absolutely no idea how they do it. I mean, the stop motion thing is obviously incredible with the performance capture, but with Andy Serkis and in particular Toby Kebbell, who plays Koba, who's the kind of antagonist of this one, who, you know, if you've seen the first one, he's the one who's experimented on in the first one, and he's got all the scars and stuff. He's the main antagonist of the second one. Chris, you haven't watched it yet, have you? But it's...
No.
But for me as well,
Oliver cries a bit.
I love the first one. I've seen the first one loads. In fact, I've done a screening of the first one at the school that I work at for Year 7 kids, and they absolutely loved it. And I think the first one is an incredible... No one expected Rise of the Planet of the Apes to be any good, and then it was brilliant. And then the sequel, everyone was kind of worried because obviously it lost its director. But then Matt Reeves comes in, and I think he just elevated it to a whole other level. I think it's incredible. They build the society of the apes so well. But for me, it's the performances. I would genuinely say, it sounds a bit mad, but for me, Caesar is possibly one of my all-time favourite characters in anything. For me, it's the action in it's brilliant, but it's the characters. It's Caesar and Koba, and how well they're developed, and how you recognise Caesar for the great leader that he is, and Koba, you understand his motivations as much as anything else, and I think it's amazing film. But for me, number 3 then is a movie that, again, until recently was number 1, that I think is an instant classic, and that's the Lego Movie.
Oh yeah, it's on my list as well.
Is that on yours as well, Chris?
Yeah.
It's not mine, but
I think the Lego Movie is
What was your number?
brilliant. That's number 3.
That's
That's
also my
three for
number
me
3
as
as
well.
well.
Is it
Yeah.
3 for you?
It's a
It's a better
trilogy.
film. It's I love the fact that you saw the trailer and went, oh, that looks really bloody good actually, and then it came out and went, yeah, that was really fucking good actually.
Mind-blowing.
So much fun, so original. It looks incredible. I don't know anyone who can not enjoy that film. For me then, number 2 is Interstellar. I love Interstellar. I think I don't understand the criticisms of it. I honestly don't. I think it's proper. Has anyone else got that on the list?
Yeah, that's my
it's
number one.
number 2
Number
on
one
my
for you,
list.
Tristan.
Yeah.
Number 2 on my list.
I think it's proper brilliant, thinky, intelligent sci-fi,
Something we haven't had for a
done
while.
through the lens of
Well,
Christopher
it's
Nolan.
It's like 2001.
It's 2001 level of you know.
Everyone's seen it here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously we have to be careful about spoilers, but
Yeah.
it's again the where it goes and the questions that it asks is just films just don't do that really anymore. But again, just visually, and for me, Christopher Nolan can do no wrong. When it goes weird, that for me is when I went, yes, this is a classic. Whereas other people, you could feel in the cinema, were kind of looking at each other, going, really?
It was like with
What's
Laura,
going
wasn't
on?"
it? There's a certain moment, isn't there,
Yeah.
where it splits the audience in two.
Yeah.
I think it felt like Mass Effect in there in some ways. Just in
Yeah.
some of the visuals, the suits,
Characters.
some of the characters just
World
felt.
design as well.
Yeah, the way the worlds were, it just felt like a little bit Mass Effect. It's like he played that and maybe sort of saw it and thought.
For me, my number one film then, I'm cheating a little bit, partly because right.
But
So I've got
otherwise
two
I've not
films,
seen
but technically neither of them are actually out yet.
I'll listen to it.
So-
Pass judgment.
The first one is Snowpiercer.
It's out though, isn't it?
It's not. It hasn't actually had a UK cinema
I
release
really want to see
at
that.
all. Came out in the
This
US,
was on US.
and it's on US Netflix, which I have access to. And
I know that's
how
the
I've
thing.
done it.
I know
To
I love
those-
this film, but I haven't seen it, so I
Yeah.
haven't put it on my
Yeah.
list.
For
That's
those
fair.
of us who don't know what Snowpiercer is,
So Snowpiercer is based on a French graphic novel that it's based on. However, it's directed by the South Korean director who made The Host, and yet it's not Korean. There are Korean characters in it,
but
but
is it John Hurt in it?
yeah, but it mainly stars John Hurt, Chris Evans, Jamie Bell, and most fantastically Tilda Swinton and Ed Harris. But Tilda Swinton is absolutely knockout. But the plot of it is that the world has been decimated by a kind of chemical which has been released into the atmosphere, which has been designed to combat global warming. But what it's ended up doing is freezing the entire planet. So the remains of the human race have ended up on this train, where there's this train track which just goes all over the world, and this engineer designed, the guy who designed the train, who is played by Ed Harris, he runs the train, and the train just goes around the world, this frozen world. But the train is split into the people at the back, who are the kind of third-class citizens, and then the further you get towards the front of the train, the more privileged people are. And right at the front of the train is Ed Harris, the guy who designed the thing, and it's about the kind of revolution that takes place
On a train.
by Chris Evans and Jamie Bell's character trying to force their way through and trying to revolt against it. And it absolutely blew me away because I knew it was supposed to be really good, but like I said, I just came across it on US Netflix, and the distributors, for those of you who don't know, have completely destroyed this film. Over here, it still doesn't have a release deal. But I would urge anyone who's a fan of Terry Gilliam in particular, watch that film. It's so kind of twisted and a little bit weird and
Very
strangely
Brazil,
funny and very, very Brazil, very, very Gilliam. In fact, John Hurt's character is called Gilliam.
So
There's a very, very clear Gilliam influence in it, but the action in it's basically Old Boy meets Brazil. And that should appeal to everyone. It's so good, so good. I don't want to spoil it for anyone because obviously, for me, going into that, the brilliance of that film was going into it just knowing it's sort of about a train that goes through some snow, and it's supposed to be really good. Know that it's brilliant. My other thing then is the fact that I'm such a massive Hobbit fan that I know when the next Hobbit film comes out in the next couple of weeks, that's going to my number one spot. So Ollie, over to you. Go on.
All right, then. In which case, cough. My number 5 is a little film that only I think one of the other partners in this will have seen, which is The Raid 2.
Yeah, I've not watched it.
Yeah, I've
I
seen it.
watched it.
Yeah, I've seen it. That's
Raid
my
2.
number 5.
Same here. For the life of me, I can't remember what the guy's name is, but it's a fantastic continuation of the original Raid.
Directed by a Welshman.
It is directed by a Welshman whose name I can't remember.
I want to say Gareth Evans, but I'm fairly certain he's the guy who did Monsters and Godzilla.
He did do Monsters.
So I'm wrong.
But in any case, it follows literally like 5 minutes on from the first Raid with our hero, for the life of me, I can't remember. It's just a nice little crime, I wouldn't say crime thriller, but it's just, Rob doesn't like martial
Isn't it
art films.
insanely long?
Yeah, it is.
That's what puts me off. See,
was-
I'm not big on martial arts films, and a
The Raid-
fucking
the
3-hour
first-
martial arts film, I just...
The first
my
Raid
God.
was, I think, like an hour and a half. It was the perfect length for that sort of film, and it was so tight and action-packed. This
Yeah,
one
even I enjoyed that
is
film.
incredibly long. I will be the first to admit that. It does drag in certain points. But the action is so punchy and it's just so in your face that it's just. To describe it follows a video game principles. There's kind of like bosses
Different
and
levels.
different levels.
Oh, the
bosses.
first one did as well.
Yeah,
didn't
exactly.
it?
The first one is. So it's just
The actors,
fantastic.
the skill, the
Oh,
fighting
God,
skills
yeah.
are incredible.
It is. It puts me to shame. It puts any of us to shame. But
Go on
that's,
then. What's your number 4?
we've already talked about it. Dawn.
Dawn
Planet
Planet.
of the Apes.
Yep.
And we talked about my third one, which is the Lego, and we talked about my second, which is Interstellar. So we'll talk about what I think is by far the best film of this year so far, which is, much to Rob's detriment, Guardians of the Galaxy. And for the life of me, I think this is just such a fun film. And Rob is going to shout at me when I'm going to say it filled me with the same awe I had when I saw the first Star Wars film.
Oh god!
Puts on the headphones and starts playing. Hooked on. Not
Do you know
Hooked
what,
on a Feeling.
musically, it's
The music
brilliant.
is. What is the song from the first film?
Hooked on a Feeling?
No, Hooked on a Feeling is
No,
the trailer film.
That's the, yeah.
They,
Oh, the opening sequence
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I know the one you mean. Where he's dancing
Come
through
and
the
give you
kind
love,
of.
come and give you love, do you love me? Yeah, it's that. Whatever the song is,
Okay.
that song. Like as soon as that song plays, like hooked, gone, sold.
I just
I
think
don't think I
people
could
went
beat that
massively overboard with
It-
it for me in terms of the praise heaped on it, and I think it's really good, and I think it's really fun. But I don't even think it's the most fun film of the year.
However, that was
Anyway.
my number one. I will now pass over to whoever is next.
Tris?
You've pretty much covered everything.
That was a
You've
good.
gone. You've hit the nails on the head with a
Just
hammer
for
here.
Oh, yeah,
clarification.
this
My
is
number
why-
5 is going to be Fury, though. However,
Oh,
Oh, really?
I haven't
I
seen
really enjoyed that. You know, I love the setting of World War II. It feels like Saving Private Ryan in a tank. You know, and although how well armoured they are, they feel it makes you feel incredibly
It's the peril
vulnerable
intense, like
because
palpable.
the German Panzer or what the Tiger tank, whatever it is, it's hunting
What's
them.
the plot? Because all
What
I
is the
know
plot?
is it's Brad Pitt in a tank.
Sounds
It's
awesome.
there's 4 guys in a tank. They lose one of their gunners.
Yeah.
And they give him a typist to fill his role, and they're like a badass tank.
So it's
team.
a bit like
He's-
Saving Private
he
Ryan.
commands a battalion of tanks. He loses his best gunner, and he's given a 18-year-old. Yeah, he plays the father figure to
So
the,
he's
to the
Tom
new
Hanks
member of
in
the
Saving
tank
Private Ryan.
team.
Okay.
There's some good banter in there between the characters.
The guy from End of Watch is in it as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just
The guy who
brilliant
is
all round.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
Right.
It just
The,
makes France in 1944 seem like a really scary place to be,
Yeah.
where the Allies were pushing across Europe into Germany, and I think it's actually it's set in Germany. Yeah, it's towards the very end of
I've
the war.
heard good things about it, and some of the criticisms that I've heard is that it's a bit American. It goes
It is-
a little bit
it
cliche.
is a
at
bit
points
America
and-
F yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
White
but-
in these days.
Well,
now.
they
So-
are an American.
but that's I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. It was gritty.
No, it's really interesting.
As they're just driving along, looking at the countryside, the camera sort of pans down, and they just drive over a dead body, and it sort of squelches in the mud, and they just carry on as normal.
Realistic.
Yeah,
Or a real
and if they
feeling.
they're just driving along, someone just gets shot in the head.
Does it feel
And,
believable?
it feels like you could be there. It's terrifying. It makes you feel like, wow, how do these men do this and
Yeah.
carry on with normal lives after?
It's interesting. It is interesting. I did really want to watch it, and then maybe some of the reviews put me off, but since you rated it quite highly, I'm
And
interested in
there's
it.
a great scene where the three American tanks go off against one German tank. It's just,
So it's
really
fantastic.
insane.
Alright, well that was your number 5. What? Just for the rundown, Fred, what was your other?
There's the Raid 2,
Yeah.
then the Lego,
Yeah.
and then Captain America 2 for my second choice, and then Interstellar was my first choice.
Excellent.
In which case, is there anyone
I
left?
concur with that list. Chris.
Thanks.
Is there anyone fucking left?
Well, I was going to ask
Don't read my
You don't read his comics, and then you forget about it in the rundown.
Hey!
For the listeners, by the way, there was a mild revelation between some of our sections that Ollie, who always gets Chris to sign his copies of...
And drawing them.
I'm drawing them. His copies of his works, has never actually fucking read anything that Chris has done.
To my defence, I do like to keep them pristine.
That's not a defence.
Well, I was gonna say because I found out just before that we weren't doing ones that weren't in 2014. I was gonna say Rec 3 was gonna be mine.
It is in
That's
the
really
title.
interesting because you text me saying, "Have you seen that? This is amazing." And I've only heard it's shit.
It's literally the best horror film I watched all year.
Is this the one set in the wedding?
Yeah.
I've heard
Something
It
else.
looks, the trailer
If
just
you-
looks like very.
You like Army of Darkness?
I do like Army
It's
of
like,
Darkness.
after the first 2 series films, it goes Army of Darkness level on it. It's brilliant.
Okay, cool,
I
interesting.
can't remember what my replacement one was.
That's all right. We'll go with that then.
Yeah, alright. So number 4 was Edge of Tomorrow, which
That almost edged it
haven't
into
seen
mine.
it.
Edge
I'm
of Tomorrow is
slightly biased,
excellent.
as my brother did a lot of work on it, but I also thought it was like
It's a
Laura
great
loved
film.
it, I loved it. I thought it was
Even
like
Tara liked it, and Tara does not like that kind of film.
some amazing action scenes.
Yeah.
I'm a total sucker for Emily Blunt. And
Really
she's
punchy
in-
action in it again.
and
Another
just the
really solid
storytelling
action
in
film.
it, the way they just went over it.
Edge of Tomorrow, it just repeated like little quick sections again
Yeah.
to sort
And
of
it made it
show how
funny
he's
as
learning.
well.
Really funny.
Did
Was
really-
really
like Bill
surprised at how
Paxton,
funny it was.
Like his character.
He's
in
brilliant.
that was
Oh
fucking brilliant.
man,
It
now
was
you've sold us
brutal.
me completely.
It's so good. Really
I'm
yet
enjoyable
to see-
film.
Like the whole thing, like I've seen B-side footage of it as well, and it's like kind of, and no, because my brother worked on the set, I've seen how physical, like say the battlefield was. Like
Yeah.
they actually made a giant like Normandy type battlefield, and there was rockets going across over people's heads and stuff. So number let's see, 3.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hate me for this because we had an argument about it on Facebook.
Again, it's like with Guardians. Go on.
How to Train Your Dragon 2 was my favourite
How to Train Your
animation
Dragon 2.
film
It's a
of
good
the
film.
whole year.
Your favourite
Animation film.
over Lego?
Yeah.
That's madness.
I really love Lego.
However, let's let him talk.
really
Find
love
out.
Lego, but How to Train Your Dragon hit me in all the feels. It made me cry twice.
I felt the villain was a bit.
I really like the villain.
I didn't like the villain too
I really
much.
liked him. I
His
thought he
voice was
brilliant.
good.
Like,
Yeah,
didn't
that's
you,
fair.
think he was just a completely horrible guy who was
Oh
just
yeah.
I felt they
turning the
built him
world
up really
horrible.
nicely, and then I felt when he actually arrived, like I didn't feel
Compared
like
to
he
everyone
There was a
else,
big
he's
build
just
up,
like-
not a good payoff.
He's like the darkness in, I don't know, like never-ending story. He's just creeping along, destroying everything he comes across.
I don't have major problems with that film. The only thing we argued about really was that I felt the first one was better.
See, I don't think it's.
However, the first
I
one
don't
didn't come
have
out
an
2014,
issue
so we
that
didn't
it's
put
better.
this list.
It's more that it's just like on par. Like I felt like just as good about the second one as I did the first one.
That's
But the
much-
fight scenes were brilliant.
They made the use of 3D.
See, I didn't see it in the cinema. I saw it on DVD, but I think it's a really really good film. Really good film. I just think the first one's a bit better for me. But
Alright, if that was your number 3, what's your number 2?
Well, I've actually changed my mind since I wrote the list. It's more of I've just swapped them around. Gone Girl number 2.
Gone Girl number
I'm
2.
a total Fincher sucker.
Yeah, you love everything
I'm a
Fincher,
sucker
don't
for
you? You
Fincher.
even
I
like
really- I
Girl
really
with
like
Dragon
Gone Girl.
Tattoo.
But just the filming of it, and he just crafts films so beautifully. Like he's almost on a par with Nolan for me. Like I just love the way the films look, and I love how people speak. in
What's
them.
your favourite Fincher? For me, I don't think he's top 7. I like Fight Club,
7 is
but
good.
I don't think he's top 7.
Oh, I don't know because I've got I think 7, Social Network, and what's the name? Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I like.
Yeah, you're one of the few fans of that film.
I fucking love that film so much. Like this year, I listened to all of his films with the commentary and stuff, and just the effort he puts into.
What was it about Gone
Gone
Girl that you really liked?
Not being spoiled.
Has anyone else not? Who
I
else
haven't
has seen Gone Girl?
I haven't
Have you seen it, Trip?
Yeah, we've seen it. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I really liked it.
It makes you walk out the cinema squinting at your other half going.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you
like
do
that.
quite
It's like the worst date movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go to sleep in the spare room tonight.
But yeah, so what was it that you really, really enjoyed about it?
Probably the cinematography and just the black humour of it.
Yeah,
And,
it's very dark.
I mean, as well, the acting as well was just brilliant.
I think performance-wise, it's excellent.
What's the name? The lady.
Rosamund
Rosamund
Pike.
Pike.
Rosamund Pike. Yeah, she's like fantastic.
Yeah, she's
And they
great in
said
that
in
film.
loads of interviews they picked her because you can't tell what she's like in real life from her acting roles and stuff. And she is just a total enigma. Like you see her in World's End and like Clash of the Titans and Dune. And you don't get a sense of like she's using anything of herself in the role. She's just using like she's totally putting on a character, and she's probably got some other private life that's nothing like anything she's acted.
I think she's incredible in that film, but I also think it's really easy to overlook just how good Ben Affleck is.
Oh yeah, Ben Affleck.
He makes himself. He's kind of not overly likable, and you sort of kind of like
But
it.
that's the whole thing. Like neither of them are likable.
Yeah,
neither
they're
of them
not
are
particularly
like
likable people.
Evil.
I think there's a really interesting thing because it's got one moment of violence in it doesn't
That
it?
is
Yeah.
incredible.
One
It's-
nasty, very shocking, sudden moment of violence. I do think that
Honestly,
Neil Patrick Harris is slightly miscast in that film.
He's more of just like a pop punk, isn't
But his character is Barney from How I Met Your Mother. That's his entire fucking character.
But
Because,
a bit twisted.
but he's a little bit. He's become a little bit obsessive with her.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, he spends 10 minutes walking around his fancy house and pointing out how great his towels are, and he takes pride in all this kind of male grooming stuff. And
like that is the most like Basil exposition.
yeah,
Bit, isn't it? Where it's just
massively so.
like, here's where the cameras are.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
My number one was the same
Oh,
as
sorry.
everyone else's was Interstellar.
Oh, Interstellar.
That's
good.
With the exception of
Oliver.
me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, mine was Snowpiercer. But yeah, Interstellar, I think it goes without saying, it'll probably end up being the film of the
Like,
year.
I really want
that
to go
and
see it.
Guardians,
again.
I
I
think.
like-
As much as I just like the
Oscar
hype around
story,
Guardians, I
isn't
think it's quite hard to argue that Guardians is pretty much the film of the year.
it? Oh yeah.
And Interstellar, I would say, is a close second in terms of how much people have talked about it, how successful it's been, how much of an impact it's had. And I think Guardians, Interstellar, and the Lego Movie are really the three that people are going to come back to year after year, I
Yeah.
think. Brilliant, right, so that brings to an end our very final section. So I guess all that's left to do is say goodbye. Yeah, thanks very much for listening, everybody. And we hope to attempt to do this fairly regularly, if this hasn't been an utter disaster.
don't think it's been a
Hopefully every 2
disaster.
weeks, but we'll see how it is. We might get some different people on.
Maybe Jamie will wake
Maybe
up.
Jamie will eventually
If
wake
he's
up
not
from over
drowned
there
in
in the
the
trash
sewage,
compactor. But thank God we managed to contact the droids in time to stop the walls closing in on us.
Although they are moving a little slower.
Yes, I guess it's goodbye from all of us. Bye.
Goodbye.
Oh, can I move the
You know,
dishes?
like a cricket. Crickets go cheap.